Hello, everyone. This is Matthew Brand. Thanks for tuning in to Detroit Mithras, episode 7. Now, I want to talk about the Sri Lanka bombings. I want to wait a few days. I know I'm a little late, almost a week, but because this happened on Sunday, and there's a few points that are really bothering me when it comes to the bombings and how they were handled. One, the initial press, like trying to filter the media, like they did with the Christchurch shooting. Two, the calling the people, in the churches that got bombs Easter worshipers, like they didn't want to call them Christians, or like they were avoiding the word Christians. And three, the fact that it was like a bombing in general, and not like a shooting, because it seems to me people are very attentive when it comes to shootings, but not so attentive when it comes to bombing. So let's rewind this. When you have the initial media, suppression, they tried to tone down the media, and I understand that with certain social media outlets, right? Because they don't want that kind of thing. Children can see it, whatever. But I think by diminishing the story, it was so much. Sri Lanka was so much more, in my opinion, devastating, hurtful, and problematic that. But the people who died. Not saying that Christchurch was not a terrible incident, but what happened, and it's not because one's Christian and one's Muslim, but so many more people died in Sri Lanka. And it seemed like the government and the media were so much less attentive. I barely heard a damn thing about what happened in Sri Lanka. I saw little things here and there, but it wasn't shoved in my face like the Christchurch shooting was. Two, and that's why I'm such a advocate for the First Amendment, right? People should be able to lash it out, talk about it, whatever. And I'm not going to get into the like, oh, this one was Christian, one was Muslim, or whatever. And it just seems like everybody's trying to always act like it's white nationalists are a huge problem. And I'm not saying that racism isn't still a problem. I do believe that it's something that can be more addressed. Some people will act like it's not as big of a problem as it was, and I would agree. It used to be a lot worse, but to say that it's still not a problem is definitely disingenuous to me. Two, you have the fact that the people were being called Easter worshipers, and I don't know if the churches are Christian. I guess that's not really the point, but you had Jesus in the churches. You had all that stuff, and everybody kept calling them Easter worshipers, Easter worshipers. I mean, just say, call them Christians. Say all these Christians were killed. So many Christians were killed. They targeted places that were popular with tourism. They targeted churches. This was a clear target, religious, sorry, religiously fueled movement, and they targeted Christians. So I don't understand why we can't just be honest about it and say, hey, the Muslims targeted Christians. Just like you can say a Christian bigot targeted Muslims. It goes both ways. The people are extreme and the people are crazy regardless. I feel like they're trying to cover up facts to kind of skew their own narrative when they call them Easter worshippers and avoid addressing the attack as an assault on Christians. Whether you're Christian or not, that's not really what's important. Whether you even agree with Christianity, like Christianity, whatever. The fact is, those Christians did not, the people who died, they are not all responsible for anything that happened to those Muslims. These are hate crimes, and they should be addressed as hate crimes. Because if you don't address them as what they are, it can't get better. And then the third, the fact that it was a bombing in general, not a shooting. I feel like that is another reason this was so quieted down. A lot of people don't understand. Like I said, crazy people, and the most devastating attacks that usually happen do not happen with guns. Believe it or not, I mean, a lot of mass shootings, which a lot of people understand, three or more, but happen with guns, handguns. But so people use this, and I'm gonna address this in another video. later. But people use this term high profile mass shooting. And that's something like that. And then gun violence. Those things are ways to confuse people into skewed statistics and skewed logic. Is very biased logic, because unless you use that, unless you're disingenuous, nah, unless you're being disingenuous about it, then it's really hard to be realistic about a problem that doesn't really exist. These were bombings. These were horrible, horrible bombings. And, turns out, like I've told people before, it does not cost or take much to make a bomb, especially a really old fashioned one. But a bomb is a bomb. And a lot of people just don't realize that. It's basic chemistry. Um, the ingredients aren't something hard to find. I mean, yes, some bombs are much more devastating and deadly than others, but I mean, if you looked at those people, I mean, just being brought away, I mean, it looked like just massacred flesh of limbs and stuff, filleted from their bodies by that explosion. It's insane. Um, to even try to remotely compare the damage done by that bomb to the damage that guns do. And it's a petty argument. And the reason I bring this up is because a lot of areas people cannot defend themselves. If they were attacked in a full on assault, and when people do get attacked like that, a lot of these cases people can't defend themselves, and it makes me nauseous. Looking at the video footage you see from the Sri Lanka bombing, it is atrocious. Because and the reason I say, is I know that I have a book out, the Magnum Creed book about gun rights and freedom and all that stuff, but the it's not. I'm not saying, oh, because the bombing was more devastating we should have guns. What I'm saying is we are purposely pointing our eyes in the wrong direction of what's really going on, right? Like, that is something that is not the big issue, and they're turning our heads away from stuff like that bombing that just happened. That's my problem. We're turning our stuff away from depression, from psychotics, from extremists like that. And we need to get our eyes back on focus on what the real problem is. So that's my opinion. I really hate how this was handled in the media. I really think it could have been done better. I heard some stuff, talking about Donald Trump this and blah, 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 that. And, to me, and that with the Notre Dame fire and all that kind of stuff. Things are going to happen. I don't really like the way Donald Trump talks, to be completely honest. Um, but I understand for him, there's probably like a mass appeal to the people who like him. But even still, pointing towards that is not the issue. The real issue is the extremists, the crazy people, the huge amount of mental problems going on. It's not like everybody's waking up and their brain is wired wrong. We have something bigger going on at hand, and people are being pushed to not pay attention to it because they're too worried about something stupid like who's going to pay for the birth control of somebody they don't even know, or somebody who's never committed a crime before carrying a gun they don't like, or somebody selling CDs to try to make money to pay their rent or something when they don't have a permit to do it. They're worried about dumb shit like that, and it's about time we stop, get rid of all that crap, and focus on what's really going wrong with these extreme people, with these lying media, with the uh, things diverting our eyes towards crap that really does not matter that much. Um, it's about time we stop and focus on that. And if maybe we were more focused on that and active in doing something to prevent that kind of stuff, those bombings wouldn't have happened. I can't say for sure, but that is possible. Thanks for tuning in. This is Detroit Mithras, episode 7. God bless you, and hopefully you had a nice Easter. And hey, he was risen, and Hope you have find God's blessing in your life if you haven't by now. Please check out the book Magnum Creed if you haven't. It's on Amazon. It's like $2.99. It's not one of those expensive books, but if you order the paper copy, it is a little more expensive. But hey, I think it will be worth it as a gift to somebody who's getting into their first like handgun or something. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Peace out.